Good morning, everyone. I'm still baking for Valentine's Day. So this time I made some cookies. This is a sugar cookie recipe that I got from Betty with pre-retirement. She made these about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I fell in love with them, and I was craving something sweet when I watched her video. So I made these in the evening, which is rare for me. And they are fluffy, they're soft, they're delicious, and I know that's because of the powdered sugar and cream of tartar that goes in these. And what I did was a little different. It's the same exact recipe, I didn't change that. I just rolled some dough out to make some hearts for Valentine's Day, and I also bought some red sugar for Valentine's Day to put on the top. But it's a really good recipe, and they're really good. So I'm going to show you how I made these. Let's get started. Okay, these are all the ingredients you're going to use for these sugar cookies. All the amounts will be under the video in the description. So you're going to use flour, butter, cream of tartar, vanilla, 2 eggs, powdered sugar and regular granulated sugar, baking soda. And I am going to change up a few things. That's one thing about baking. You learn to kind of improvise or do things in your own way. So I'm going to be using olive oil instead of vegetable oil and a few other things. So let's get started. Okay, you begin by creaming your butter and sugars together. So you're going to put your 1 cup of granulated sugar and your 1 cup of powdered sugar in with your cup of softened butter. If your butter isn't softened, you can put it in the microwave for about 10 to 12 seconds to soften it. And we're just going to cream this together until it's nice and creamy. So this is the consistency you want. And you just make sure to bring all the batter down. So it's nice and creamy. You're going to add your 1 cup of oil. Whatever kind of oil you want to use is perfectly fine. I'm using olive oil. You can use vegetable oil if you like. So you're going to start creaming that together on low, and then you're going to add your 2 eggs and 1 teaspoon of vanilla and cream that together real well. Okay, so next we're going to add all of our dry ingredients, and I have the baking soda, the salt, the cream of tartar, everything in this flour. So I'm going to start adding it and gradually mix it together in increments. Okay, if you want to get a baking sheet, you can either grease it or put parchment paper on it and preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So what I'm going to do that's different from Betty is, well, here's our cookie batter first of all. It's nice and creamy and just the right consistency that you want. So she rolls them in little balls, flattens them a little with like a cup or something, and she sprinkles sugar on it. But what I'm going to do is kind of try to roll this out because I want to make Valentine cookies. So that's what I'm doing different. I'm going to kind of roll it out and make my cookies with cookie cutters. And then she sprinkles sugar on it, and I'm going to use some red sanded sugar for Valentine's Day. So those are my kind of differences from what her recipe is, but ultimately it's pretty much the same. So I'm going to take out my dough and kind of roll it out first. So normally, like I said, she rolls them in a ball and then flattens them a little with a cup, and I'm going to use a measuring cup when I flatten mine. But what I'm doing is I rolled the dough out about 1/2 inch, and I made sure to flour this cookie cutter so it doesn't stick. And I'm just going to do like this, and you could do either option. You can do it the way Betty does it or however you want. I'm doing it this way because it's Valentine's Day. So I have a few of my hearts here that I rolled out and cut, but I want to show you the technique that Betty uses. So she takes probably about this much dough and she rolls it just like this, and then she puts it on her cookie sheet and kind of pats it down like this. But then what she does is she sprinkles it with a little bit of sugar and she pats it down. Actually, I think she does that first, but you can do it any way you want. So she touches the dough first so it gets kind of sticky, And then she places it in her sugar and goes like this. See how neat that is? So she'll press it down like that. So it makes it so much easier actually to put the sugar on or make it stay. So this is the technique that I'm using. I did make this once before. I made these cookies the same day I watched her video. They look so good, but I didn't do a video, and I told her I'm going to do one in a few weeks, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So there we go. Now I'm going to continue making the rest. You just keep rolling them till you can use all the dough. And you want to have them kind of like this far apart, maybe an inch or two. Now we're going to put them in the oven from anywhere from 10 to 12 minutes. And I'm going to start with 8 because I have a very hot oven and I always try to go lower. If I don't, they'll burn. Okay, they've gone in for 10 minutes and I'm going to kind of, they're got a little golden, but they're not ready, I could tell. So I'm going to put them in for another 2 minutes. So they've gone 10 minutes. Okay, these were in for 12 minutes and they're done. They're very kind of fluffy and they don't get real dark, but you have to kind of touch them and look at them. So one of the ways you kind of touch it and see if it's firm. And like I said, you flip the other side over and you can see it's cooked that way. Now we're going to let them cool and we'll give them a try. So I made a few hearts and I made mostly the traditional one because these were quicker to make. So I'm going to go to my mom's today. I go there once a week. I cook her and her husband a dinner and I bring something sweet. So I'm going to bring these cookies over. I don't eat everything I bake or I would be as big as my house. So I'm bringing this, and I also made a little cherry pie. When I was there last week I had mentioned that I was going to make a pie and they both lit up. So I made this and I also made a nice dinner. So let's give these cookies a taste. They're really fluffy and buttery. And when they come out of the oven, they're really soft. I've had these here for a little bit, so these are a little crunchier right now. But they're very buttery and absolutely delicious. So if you want to make a good cookie for Valentine's Day, I do have other sugar cookies also, but this one I think is probably the best. They can be soft and crunchy depending on how long you bake them for. So I hope you give this a try and I hope everyone has a fun Valentine's Day. Thank you so much for watching.